Hi guys, just 200 days are remaining for the Prelims 2025 exam. And as soon as we launched the Demolish Prelims 2025 program, we started getting many queries from you guys that how do we manage the next 200 days before the Prelims 2025 examination. So today we have IPS Divyank with us. He'll be sharing his strategy as to how he balanced the last 200 days before the Prelims examination, how he balanced mains and prelims preparation. And also he has categorized students in three categories. The first one is those students who are first attempters. आप लोग जो 2025 में फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट देने वाले हो अपना. सेकंड कैटेगरी आप लोगों में से जिन्होंने पहले अटेम्प्ट दे रखे हैं लेकिन यू आर नॉट एबल टू क्लियर द प्रीलिम्स. थर्ड, those students who have cleared the prelims CSE cutoff but not the IFS cutoff. So hi Divyank, please elaborate on the strategy, also the framework, main framework that you are going to share with the students.
Hello, sir, and hello to everyone. So, as sir said that we have categorized students into three categories. So, people who are in their first attempt will be in one of the three situations. पहला ये होगा कि they might have joined some coaching, but their first iteration might not have been completed because coaching में बहुत time लगता है in general and they finish it very late. Second situation ये हो सकती है कि first iteration हो चुका है, but अभी तक they haven't started any revision. एंड थर्ड कैटेगरी होगी कि जो अभी ये वाला अटेम्प्ट फर्स्ट बस अभी उन्होंने सोचा है, आप जस्ट दिवाली में सोचा होगा या फिर सितंबर में सोचा होगा कि दे हैव टू गिव दिस 2025 प्रीलिम्स. सो दिस माइट बी वन ऑफ योर कंडीशन. सो इसके अकॉर्डिंग आपका अभी 200 डेज बिफोर 25th मई 2025 जब प्रीलिम्स एक्चुअल है तब तक आप कैसे आगे बढ़ोगे. सो आई विल ट्राई टू गिव यू अ रफ टाइमलाइन एंड व्हाट यू शुड बी डूइंग. ओके, सो फर्स्ट यू हैव टू कंप्लीट योर स्टैंडर्ड सोर्सेज. जो सबको पता है मार्केट में कि एनसीईआरटीज हैं, लाइक एनसीईआरटीज ऑफ हिस्ट्री ऑफ क्लास 12th themes, they are very important. Then Lakshmikant, Spectrum, these are the basic books which are there in the market. You should be able to complete that by Jan. So till Jan and till 31st Jan you must ensure that first iteration has been done. Okay, apart from that you can start reading current affairs. So you can start reading monthly magazines जो अभी आ चुके होंगे recently. Also, if you want to take advantage over other candidate and you want to come in the top 1%, what you can do is you can go through the previous yearly compilation. Because UPSC जो recent जो current affairs पूछता था वो recent अभी उसने 1 साल से बढ़ा के 2 साल 3 साल कर दिया है. So if you are able to do that, if you start from 1st December, you will have that advantage, early bird advantage, and you can ensure that you are able to cover that as well, and you can take advantage on 1-2 questions or maybe 3 to 4 questions to UPSC past 2 years से पूछता है. So that is something which you can
in fact, that is what we are doing. We are covering current affairs of past 2 years in the Demolish Prelim program. Yes.
Yes, sir. And in fact, sir, one of the reason why I was able to score good marks is because अभी जो मैंने 2020 या 2021 में जो पढ़ा था वो यूपीएससी अब जो है वो जाके पूछ रहा है. सो लाइक इवन वेरी बेसिक थिंग्स जो उस समय पढ़ी थी उस समय बड़ी दे सीम्ड वेरी लेस सिग्निफिकेंट. अब जाके डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन उससे आ जाता है. जैसे बायो रॉक टेक्नोलॉजी वाज आस्क्ड इन 2022. देन देयर वाज मियावाकी मेथड,
वोल्वाकिया मेथड.
yes. So these are very basic things जो उस समय बड़ी नॉर्मल सा लगता था बट अब जाके यूपीएससी पूछ रहा है. So if you want to take advantage you can focus on the past year, like जो लास्ट ईयर के लिए जो लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा वो आप अभी पढ़ सकते हो. सो दैट विल गिव यू एन एज ओवर अदर्स. थर्ड इज यू कैन फोकस ऑन blind spot in the sense that people generally ignore these things although they constitute a very high proportion of question, like up to 25 questions can be asked from these things and people generally ignore and then they just play with their like roughly flukes मार के आते हैं वहां पे and by having half knowledge. ये जो blind spot है इनमें सबसे पहला आता है mapping. So mapping of rivers, mapping of mountains, mapping of hills. Then there are dams, reservoirs. So all these things become very important. I will talk about them later. But mapping के लिए जैसे एक book है which I always recommend, which is Geography through India through Maps by Prem Patel. So if you are able to, if you start from 1st December, you can bit by bit you can do that book and I ensure that you will be able to mark at least 3 to 4 questions from that book. Because हर साल उतना जो है वो उस बुक से क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. Although it is a bulky book, but if you are able to do it, if you start early, you can take an edge. Second is this mapping में historical mapping also becomes significant. Like when you go through the NCERTs, जो मैंने 12th की themes की NCERT आप देखोगे या फिर 6th 7th 8th की जो हिस्ट्री की एनसीईआरटी है. So you can focus on that and you will find कि UPSC is picking direct questions from that. मैंने अभी रिसेंटली एक वीडियो बनाया था जिसमें मैंने इसके रिगार्डिंग बात की थी कि एक 2024 में जो क्वेश्चन आया है एंड 2021 में जो क्वेश्चन आया है, दे वर पिक्ड फ्रॉम वन मैप, फ्रॉम द सेम मैप जो चंद्रकेतुगढ़ वाला था यानी नाम गांव वाला है. So you can have a look at that. So this is one thing. Then historical timelines are very important. हम लोग जो है वो एंशियंट हिस्ट्री, मिडिवल हिस्ट्री के लिए जो है वो फुल बुक पढ़ लेते हैं, बट कभी ये नहीं देखते हैं कि यूपीएससी किस टाइप का क्वेश्चन जो है वो पूछ रहा है. यूपीएससी इज नॉट गोइंग टू आस्क यू अबाउट वन किंगडम और एनीथिंग. इट इज गोइंग टू आस्क यू अबाउट टाइमलाइन कि ये डायनेस्टी जब एग्जिस्ट करती थी उस टाइम पे जो है वो और कौन कौन सी डायनेस्टी एग्जिस्ट करती थी. और इट माइट आस्क कि जब ये फेमस किंग था उसका कंटेम्परेरी कौन कौन था. सो दिस इज व्हाट यूपीएससी इज इंटरेस्टेड इन. सो इस तरीके से आपको पढ़ना है. आप फुल बुक पढ़ लोगे बट स्टिल यू वोंट बी एबल टू आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन अगर आपने अलग से इसके नोट्स नहीं बनाए होंगे. सो दैट इज वन थिंग यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड. फोर्थ एंड मोस्ट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज बायो. हम लोग जो है वो हिस्ट्री, पॉलिटी, ज्योग्राफी ये सब इतना पढ़ के चले जाते हैं बट पीपल इग्नोर बायो. And bio till class 10 becomes very important. So you can just go through that. And अच्छी बात ये है कि class 10 तक तो bio हम लोग पढ़ते ही हैं. उसके बाद भी have to choose कि जो है वो हम लोग को bio लेनी है, maths लेनी है या any other stream we have to choose. So you can go through that. I'll recommend राज तनिल मैम के वीडियोस हैं यूट्यूब चैनल. नॉट राज तनिल मैम, डॉक्टर रंजीता मैम है, उनके वीडियोस हैं अलग से. सो यू कैन रेफर टू दैट एज वेल. So these are some blind spots जिससे 25 questions आते हैं. So you will be able to do that only when you have sufficient time in your hand. अगर आप अभी नहीं स्टार्ट करोगे and you are going to start it in March, you are going to start it in late Feb, you won't be able to do that because उस समय जो है वो आपके लिए टाइम ही नहीं होगा, आप बेसिक चीजें नहीं कवर कर पाओगे. Fourth thing is that you should start practicing MCQs on a daily basis. So up like from 1st of December or like last week of November, what you can do, you can start solving 10 questions, 15, 25 questions of daily MCQs. Usse you will get in that zone where you will be knowing how to detect which statement is wrong, or it will also help you in increasing your knowledge base so that you will be you will come in that zone. Second is you should be able to you should go through the UPSC PYQs as well, because once you go through UPSC PYQs you understand the pattern, you understand various traps which UPSC sets, and then what is the mindset and thought process of UPSC. So this is something which you must start doing from December itself, since you are starting early. So you should be I will also tell you that how you can link your mains preparation with prelims, because one of our deepest and most बिगेस्ट कंसर्न इज दैट अगर प्रीलिम्स इतनी जल्दी स्टार्ट करेंगे तो फिर जो है वो मेंस बहुत ज्यादा सफर होगा. सो तो इन द एंड आई विल आल्सो टेल यू कि कैसे यू कैन लिंक योर मेंस प्रिपरेशन विद प्रीलिम्स प्रिपरेशन, सो दैट यू आर नॉट एबल टू ओनली हेल्प क्लियर प्रीलिम्स बाय अ गुड मार्जिन बट आल्सो मेंस जो अल्टीमेट गोल है, बिकॉज मेंस की प्रिपरेशन हेल्प्स अ लॉट इन प्रीलिम्स. Direct questions are asked like terms of reference for 15th Finance Commission were asked in 2023. So ये आप तभी पढ़ोगे, ये आप लक्ष्मीकांत पे नहीं पढ़ोगे, ये आप तब पढ़ोगे जब आपने जो है वो अलग से नोट्स बनाए होंगे मेंस के लिए. सो कैसे उसको
इवन पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस हिस्ट्री वाले क्वेश्चंस 24
यस सर,
23 में आए हैं.
डेफिनेटली सर. तो वो एक चीज है. सो यू कैन डू दैट ओनली व्हेन यू हैव डन योर मेंस एज वेल. सो हाउ यू कैन इंटीग्रेट बोथ, आई विल टॉक अबाउट दैट लेटर. सो that was about the sources and what you should be doing for if and when you should start that for first attempters. Now I will just share you a rough timeline so that you have a rough idea about in your mind that कैसे जो है वो आगे के months निकालना है. So like I told you कि दिसंबर से जैन end तक जो है वो you have to do your first iteration. You must be able to do it by Jan end. उसके बाद Feb and March you can take that for first revision. Then in April 1 month must be there for second revision. Then 15 days of May आपका third iteration होगा. Then 15 to 21 in the 7 days you can do your fourth revision. और जो लास्ट के तीन दिन होंगे from 22 to 24 you should keep that for the most important things जो आप बहुत often you forget about it, या फिर जो है वो बहुत significant होती हैं, like mapping is one. There is a timeline, so you should be able to revise that in the last 3 days. So this, if you follow this timeline, you will be able to do like 5 revisions along with one iteration. So that will be good, sufficient enough for you. So ये थोड़ा वेरी कर सकता है. This can vary as per your mentor, as per the people जिनसे आप guidance ले रहे हो. But this should be the rough way कि आपके 5 iteration होने चाहिए, चाहे जैसे भी हो. But अगर आप ये follow करोगे तो this will definitely help you. Now we can move on to those जिन्होंने पहले prelims दिए हुए हैं. भले एक दिया हो, 2 3 जितने भी दिए हो attempts, but they were not able to clear prelims. तो पहले उसका जो मैंने prelims, जब भी मैं सोचता हूँ तो prelims के 3 कंपोनेंट होते हैं, 3 गैप्स होते हैं हम लोग की प्रिपरेशन में. पहला होता है नॉलेज गैप, second is attitude gap, and third is X factor gap. That why some people are able to score very high marks and even when they have the same knowledge base, but others are able to just clear the prelims or fail to clear prelims by few marks. तो पहला नॉलेज गैप आपके साथ हुआ होगा, हो सकता है लास्ट टाइम में आपका जो है वो सिलेबस उतना अच्छे से कंप्लीट ना हुआ हो, आपने रिवीजन उतना अच्छे से ना किया हो. सो दैट माइट बी वन ऑफ द रीजन. सेकेंड रीजन हो सकता है कि जैसे मैंने ब्लाइंड स्पॉट्स बताए, आपने वो ब्लाइंड स्पॉट पे फोकस नहीं किया होगा, आपने मैपिंग अच्छे से नहीं की होगी, आपने जो है वो बायो छोड़ी होगी, आपने हिस्ट्री के टाइमलाइंस नहीं देखे होंगे. सो दैट माइट बी वन ऑफ द रीजन. सो दिस इज अबाउट द नॉलेज गैप. सेकेंड इज एटीट्यूड गैप. की एटीट्यूड गैप मैं इसलिए बोलता हूँ बिकॉज आई हैव बीन इन दिस स्पेस एंड दिस इज वेरी क्रूशियल. बिकॉज जब तक मैं प्रीलिम्स को इन द इनिशियल 1 or 2 अटेम्प्ट्स जब मैं फेल हुआ था, आई वॉज टेकिंग प्रीलिम्स ओनली एज अ क्वालिफाइंग एग्जाम, कि बस वहां पे जाके जो है वो मुझे क्वालिफाई करना है. And because of this, I was not serious about the marks I was getting in mocks. Again, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपके mocks में कम आते हैं तो इसका मतलब आपका होगा नहीं. But I'm just saying कि I was not serious. I was not tracking the reasons why I'm not getting marks. उसके अलावा मैं जो है वो रिवीजन को थोड़ा शायद लाइटली मैंने लिया था. प्लस जो है वो मैं बस इस मोटिव से जाता था कि 90 अगर कट ऑफ है तो मेरे 91 भी आ जाएंगे तो भी चलेगा, क्या होगा उससे. तो उससे ये होता है कि जब आप 91 92 की प्रिपरेशन करते हो ना, ये रख के माइंड में कि बस मुझे उतना लेके आना है, तो होता ये कि जब वो प्रेशर सिचुएशन आती है आपके, आप लाइन से थोड़ा इस साइड होने की कोशिश करते हो और वो प्रेशर में आप लाइन के थोड़ा इस साइड हो जाते हो. तो दैट इज व्हाई यू आर नॉट एबल टू क्लियर द फिल्म. सो दैट इज द एटीट्यूड गैप, दैट इज द माइंडसेट गैप, दैट इज योर बिलीफ गैप, जिसकी वजह से जो है वो ये इशू आता है. एंड थर्ड इज एक्स फैक्टर गैप. इसमें क्या है कि we are not able to use some techniques, some tricks, some logical things which must be known, common sense. ये सब चीजें जो है वो we are not able to use because we stumble under pressure, and we think कि जो है वो यूपीएससी में अगर नॉलेज बहुत ज्यादा है and then we will be able to clear the clear prelims. So this is also one of the main reason I have faced this issue. इसकी वजह से जो है वो मेरा prelims नहीं हुआ था. So these are the main reasons why you are not able to clear prelims. What should be your plan for the 200 days so that you are able to fill these gaps? So for mains, because since you have given prelims before, you can study for mains in November and December, and then from first Jan itself, you can start shifting towards prelims gradually. Like you can start revising your standard books. You can start solving few MCQs. Apart from this, from mains perspective, you should be able to cover your optional, and you should be able to do at least one iteration of minimum one paper. If you are able to do one revision of both papers, it is good. But if you are able to complete even one paper, which is the biggest the bigger among two papers, you are in a good position. You can complete that after the prelims. So apart from that, what you can do is you can go through UPSC Mains PYQ, and you can prepare your content in line with this. Like especially in the case of GS third or in ethics, you can just have you can understand the type of questions UPSC asks, and then you can prepare your content. And then one thing which also helps in this time in November and December is that you can discuss those questions with your friends, so they will give you some new inputs. Like you can interpret a question in different forms. You can open new dimensions. You can write different way forwards. So this helps in not only developing the answer writing mindset, but also building up new content which you can do along with the prelims preparation. I will tell you that later. So this was about mains, and then for prelims, what you can do is that as I said, that you can start that from Jan, and then you should now make short notes of standard books. if you have not done that till now. So that should be that you can do. Then you can focus on covering the blind spot, which I specifically mentioned. Apart from that, you can focus on you should solve at least 6,000 MCQs. Like that will actually help you in developing that mindset, and you can discuss those things with your friends as well, because it helps you in understanding the thought process that the way UPSC questions should be tackled. So that is one thing which I did when I failed in prelims, and then next year I discussed it with my seniors and who were giving prelims, and we both were able to secure good marks. So that is another thing. And then you can solve mocks, and then most importantly, you should understand the mindset of UPSC. You should go through the PYQs. You should understand how UPSC thinks, how UPSC prepares a statement, what logical things you can apply, what techniques you can apply. So these are some things which you can do to bridge all the three gaps which I pointed out in the previous slide. And then again, you can also integrate mains with prelims. Now the third category is about those who were able to clear the prelims but failed to clear the IFS cutoff.
I remember discussing that if you don't have access to tests that are very much aligned to the real format of the UPSC prelims paper, you need to do too many of the questions. Like we have incorporated 20 tests in the demolished prelims program.
So that is the reason I said that 6,000 MCQs, because the issue with the current coaching test series pattern is that the quality is not in line with the UPSC, the way UPSC makes question. So if you are able to access those question, any coaching which is able to make like such that in demolished prelims, the question will be in line with the UPSC. Okay, so now we come on to the third category, which is people who were able to clear the CSE cutoff but not IFS cutoff. The challenges which such aspirant face is that they might have cleared by very narrow margin, or they still have fear in their mind about the prelims, and that is why they stumble under pressure. So these are the main reason. So what should be their course of action in the next 200 days? For mains, people some of them might have given mains as well. So rather than waiting for mains result, what you can do is you can start working on that from now itself, and then you can focus. You can find out the lacunas in your mains preparation. And in GS it is a bit difficult to understand the lacunas, but in optional you can actually you can actually work a lot, because there is always some issue with the optional. So you can keep on working on that. So that is something which you can do for mains. You can since you have cleared prelims, so you can do that for in November, December, and Jan. But from Feb, what you can do is you can gradually shift towards prelims, because that will actually help you in developing that mindset and preparing for the IFS, because IFS cutoff is like 15 marks more than the CSE cutoff, and especially the kind of paper which is coming right now, you cannot predict anything. So it's always better that you prepare a lot for that beforehand. So again, you can focus on blind spot. You can solve more FLTs. You can focus on the PYQs. Go through the PYQs a lot. Like in the previous video which I made, you can go through that and you will understand that how I solved 2024 paper by using the help of PYQ. So that video will help you in understanding the link between the previous questions of UPSC and the 2024 paper. So you can understand the thought process from that video, and then you can benefit from that. And again, you also need to integrate your mains preparation with prelims. You should have done for these things beforehand, because that will help you a lot when you will start preparing for prelims. First is you should go through the UPSC mains PYQs. Second is you must have done standard books. Then when you will read the static standard books, you will be able to collect facts and data. You can take some views of the scholars which are written in the Lakshmikant or in a Spectrum. And then from current affairs, you can pick up like good examples for ethics or for the GS or the remaining GS papers. And those examples can also be used in essay, because for prelims we read in depth. We read a lot. Not in depth, but in breadth it is actually very large. And then you can prepare some frameworks. I will give you an idea how you can prepare framework. And then this content which you read for prelims, it will help you not only in the introduction but also in the conclusion as well. So, for example, I remember reading about the Sengol, which was given by when the new parliament building was launched. So that Sengol was used. So I mentioned that in the Chola question, which was asked this year in the conclusion. So that link I was able to make only because I read that about in prelims, and I planned it beforehand in my before in my mind that I will write this conclusion. So you can do this thing. Now I will just give you a glimpse of the notes, how you can integrate prelims and mains. And I have also shared my notes, so you can access that as well, so as to get some idea. So like when you are reading a spectrum, so what you can do is you can go through, you will come across these data, like I have highlighted them. I'm sorry for my bad handwriting, but these are very rough notes, and at that time I didn't thought of sharing it with anyone later, because I was just making it for myself. So you can see that I have written in that 156 euro in 1794 was the export, and then it increased to 6 million in 1854. So you can actually use these data in your modern history answer as well, because in modern history what we do is that we simply just write from the prelims knowledge, and it becomes a very generous answer. So if you want to make your answers more specific, you can so what you can do that while you are preparing for the prelims, you can pick up these data and these facts, and then you can mention that in your answer. So this is one thing. Apart from that, you can also you can also mention scholars. Like I have mentioned that R.C. Dutt pointed in 1901 in his book Economic History of India, the efforts of the Parliamentary Select Committee of 1812 was to discover how Indian manufacturers could be replaced by British manufacturers. So if you write this thing, obviously you have to shorten it a bit. But if you write this thing that Asi Dutt in his book Economic History of India, it brings a very sound. It shows that you have a very sound knowledge base. You are writing it on some evidence. So this is actually how you link prelims with mains. So like one of the often repeated question, it was asked this year as well in 2024, that text about that in GS1 it was asked that that textile import of India or textile import of British to India increased and textile industry declined. What were the reasons? So like this is given in the spectrum itself. So I made a graph. I made this graph. Ki, duty of 67.5% was levied on Indian calicos and 37.5% on Indian muslin. So that is something which you can get from the spectrum itself. So another question in this question is also very repeated in UPSC, that about the drain of wealth which happened from India to Britain. So so you can mention many of the scholars which are given in the spectrum, that Dadabhai Naoroji in his book Unbritish Rule, Poverty and Unbritish Rule in India, and then R.C. Dutt has written this book. Then, like you can see, John Sullivan, I have marked that. So these are something which you can pick from the book, and this can only happen when you have time in your hand, when you have started preparing for prelims before sufficient when you have sufficient time, like in Jan or in December, and you have gone through the UPSC mains PYQs. This was about the modern history part. Now we can move on to the about the Lakshmikant, about the quality, how you can use the Lakshmikant for increasing the quality of your answer. So this is about the parliamentary committee. So in UPSC, so in GS2 paper, UPSC is asking a lot about the static part as well. So you can see questions from the PIL, you can see question on the vice president, on the Rajya Sabha, on the parliamentary committees. So these questions, we don't have time between prelims and mains to read to go through Lakshmikant again, because there is already too much load of completing the optional, of completing other papers, so that we tend to forget, we forget about these things. So while you are reading about while you are reading for prelims, you can make these notes from mains perspective. Like I've made that parliamentary committee can be divided in a standing committee, ad hoc committee, and then below I have written about the functions of parliamentary committees. So I did these things so that I don't have to go through the bulky book again between the prelims and mains, and I can just refer these short notes of mine, and I am able to use it. So below you will also see some conclusion things which are given in the given in the Lakshmikant, so which can be used in the conclusion and they can improve your score. Because doing this thing increased my marks in GS2 from 88 to 120. So this is the significance of value addition, what you can do while preparing for prelims alone. So like you can see, I've written a quote by Ashok Chanda, was said about parliamentary committees that they are performing excellent, performing well, and they have done a good job. So if you write this thing in the conclusion, it adds value that and that you are mentioning a specific person who has said something, a person with a credible with certain credibility. So this is how you merge you integrate prelims and mains. Next, again, so these are some scholars' view. So like there is many a times you see questions where you have to write criticism about constitution. So you can mention Ambedkar. What is about the one of the criticism was that the constitution is borrowed constitution. So Ambedkar justified it by saying these things. So when you note when you make notes on of these things, what happens that not only you can use it at the desired exact place, but also you can use it at various places. And that is the beauty of GS, especially GS2. That is the beauty, because the usability of a content is very high. If you know something, you can use it use that at many places. So this is about Indian federalism. So every year there is a question on federalism. At least one question is there. So you can mention these people like Morris Jones, Granville, Austin. Below, I have also mentioned about KC VRA. So if you these things are given in the Lakshmikant itself, so you can do this thing. This is about CAG, about the independence of CAG. So you can make notes of this. So this is something very interesting which I made in my preparation for mains, and it helped me a lot while writing answer. And I did this while preparing for prelims, because I started a bit early for prelims. In 2022, that was my third attempt, but I failed in 2021. So I didn't want to take any risk, and that is why I started it in Jan itself. Many a times you will see, if you go through the UPSC prelims, UPSC mains PYQ of GS1 or of GS third. So in environmental geography question, you will see that the question is that what are the impacts of particular ecosystem loss. So what are the impacts of Himalayan ecosystem loss, or what are the impacts of desertification? So these are the type of question. So if you will think about that on that moment, it will take a lot of time, and even then you won't be able to write a very good answer. So I made this framework. I hope it is visible to you all. So this framework was B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So B is biodiversity, impact on the biodiversity. C is how that ecosystem, how it will impact the conflict. Then third was D was disaster, how it can exacerbate the effect of disaster. E was the ecosystem services which any ecosystem provides, and how it will be adversely affected. F is the food security. G is the gender, and H is the health, and I is the poverty and inequality. So this was about the framework, and then with respect to each framework and each ecosystem, I wrote an example. So here you can see the example. So in the biodiversity with respect to Himalaya, like I have written that 70% of the original biodiversity has been lost over the last century. With respect to the desertification, I've written that new research refutes claim that the African baobab is dying due to climate change. So these are specific examples. So this is about 9 to 10 pointers. You can pick out the best. We can pick up the best 5 pointers, and then you can write it down. So it helps you in thinking very clearly and writing and supporting that with examples. So you can do that while you are preparing for prelims, because in prelims we read a lot about these things, that that flood came at this place, or this island submerged, or this glacier melt. So you can note it down in this way, and I can ensure that you will be able to write at least 3 to 4 answers in this way and improve the quality of those answers. So this is what I was talking about, integrating mains and prelims preparation. I hope it helps.